The restaurant was one of those glossy, overpriced places my parents used to say was too much for people like us when I was younger. That night, it gleamed with golden lights, polished glassware, and my mother's shrill laughter echoing above the string quartet. I had been invited, or more accurately, summoned, to celebrate my father's early retirement, which came not from hard work, but from the luxury of my sister's husband buying out Dad's name from the company I helped build. I hadn't seen them in months, and frankly, I only came because my cousin Josh slipped me a text. They're flaunting your ideas like they own them. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. I walked in wearing a soft navy blue dress, not flashy but expensive in a way that whispers instead of screams. My parents, sitting at the head of the table, barely glanced up. My mother's lips curled when she saw me. "Oh, you made it," she said, her tone so dry it could have cracked porcelain. "We almost didn't recognize you. Thought you'd be at some budget cafe, counting coins." The table burst into polite, uncomfortable laughter. My sister Jennifer tilted her head and added, "Must have been tough to even get a cab here." I forced a smile, sitting quietly next to the only person who seemed remotely decent, my cousin. As the night went on, they toasted to each other's success. Not once was I mentioned. My father raised a glass and declared, "This family thrives because we lift each other up. Some of us," he looked directly at me, "chose to fall behind." I kept my eyes on the flicker of the candle in front of me. It was easier than looking at my mother's smug grin. Then the conversation turned, as it always did, toward money. "We just bought Jennifer a lake house," Mom said proudly, ignoring how Jennifer had 3 already. "She's earned it. Not like some people who spend their time—" "Doing what exactly, dear? Still tinkering with that failed app?" I took a deep breath. "Actually—" "Don't," Dad interrupted, voice firm. "We don't need to pretend. It's okay to admit when you've fallen short. But maybe don't keep showing up pretending you're still part of this." "Dad," Josh said softly, "that's enough." No, she should hear this," Mom cut in. "It's embarrassing to keep inviting someone who refuses to accept her place. Honestly, you look like you don't belong here. It's not a soup kitchen." My hands trembled slightly. I stood up. "Then maybe I shouldn't be here." Dad leaned back, satisfied. "That's the smartest thing you've said all night." I turned and started walking away, ignoring the stares. My cousin tried to stop me, whispering, "Don't give them the satisfaction." But I wasn't leaving out of weakness. I was letting them enjoy the silence before the storm. I walked toward the front, chin up, trying to steady my breath. Then the maitre d' saw me, smiled wide, and said those 6 words, calm, clear, and utterly poetic. "Welcome back, Miss Kingston. Your table is ready." And just like that, everything shifted, but they hadn't seen it yet. Not yet. I paused only briefly when the maitre d' said those words. "Welcome back, Miss Kingston. Your table is ready." I watched the confusion ripple across the tables nearby. I felt it behind me, too, like heat. My parents didn't know. They hadn't figured it out yet, not when I turned and followed the maitre d' through the velvet curtains leading to the private dining section. Not even when the manager came rushing out from the back with a complimentary bottle of wine, bowing slightly as he greeted me by name. But Josh saw. He saw me walk past the grand piano and into a space none of our family had ever been allowed before. The room with crystal chandeliers and glass walls that overlooked the city skyline, a part of the restaurant reserved only for its stakeholders. I took my seat, a table for one, with the best view in the house. From that quiet perch, I could see them, all of them. My parents, sister, and the guests laughing over their cruelty as if I hadn't just been humiliated in front of everyone. But that humiliation, it wasn't a wound anymore. It was a fuse. 2 years ago, I was the invisible one, the girl who coded all night while they mocked me for skipping family vacations. "No husband, no home, no future," my mother once hissed after I chose a software development boot camp over her friend's tea party. They didn't know that the same app they dismissed, the one they called a waste of time, had been bought out for 7 figures by a rising health tech firm 6 months ago. I'd used that money to invest in something small, quiet, strategic, like this restaurant. Or rather, the entire chain of restaurants, 12 branches and counting, all owned by a holding company that bore no trace of my name, just my vision. I didn't want praise. I didn't even want their attention. I just wanted to build something no one could take credit for but me. Until tonight. I tapped my fingers against the menu while the waiter filled my glass. "Should we inform the guests at the main table of your presence?" he asked delicately. "No," I replied, smiling. "Not yet. Let's allow them to enjoy the meal they think they deserve." Back at their table, I saw it begin. My father gestured for the bill, already reaching for his wallet like the big man he believed himself to be. I watched the server shake his head gently, pointing toward the back where I sat. My mother looked irritated. My sister craned her neck to see who he meant, and then it clicked. Jennifer stood first. "Wait, are you serious? She's paying for this?" I could almost hear her voice through the glass. Loud, condescending. "No," the waiter replied. "She owns this place." My mother's face collapsed first, a mix of disbelief, embarrassment, and an old, familiar fear, the kind that rises when control slips from fingers that gripped too tightly for too long. My father refused to stand. His pride glued him to the chair, but his hand froze mid-motion over his card. Josh turned in his seat and lifted his glass toward me, silently toasting. I nodded back. Jennifer stormed across the room toward me. "You set this up!" she spat. "This whole dinner, just to humiliate us?" I looked at her with an eerie calm. "No, Jen, you did that all on your own." "You think this makes you better than us?" "No," I said, standing slowly. "I don't think I'm better. I know I'm done begging to be seen. Mom and Dad were trying to include you. You walked in here like some wannabe queen." "Really?" I tilted my head. "Is that what you tell yourself to sleep at night? That this is inclusion?" Because it looked a lot like calculated cruelty. Again. Behind her, our parents finally approached. My father didn't speak, his face red, jaw tight. My mother offered a weak smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Sweetheart, we didn't know." "You didn't care to know," I replied coldly. "You cared about appearances, and now the appearance is this. You insulted your daughter at her own restaurant and expected her to swallow it like always." "You wouldn't make a scene," Mom said softly. "That's not who you are." I smiled. That's who I was. Just then, the manager approached again. "Ma'am, we've moved your family's table to the outdoor lounge as you requested. Their new seating arrangement has been prepared." Jennifer frowned. "What arrangement?" I picked up my bag and followed the manager out the front door. My family trailed behind, reluctant but curious. And there it was, a table set up neatly on the patio. Simple, elegant. Except instead of the fine china they'd dined with earlier, each place setting had a shiny steel bowl on the floor. Labeled, with their names. Jennifer, Mom, Dad. Jennifer's jaw dropped. My mother gasped. This is disgusting." "No," I said, calm and sharp. "This is what it feels like to be treated as less. And you taught me well." I turned back into the restaurant without waiting for a reply. The entire staff watched them with measured silence. Guests whispered. Someone even clapped. I didn't look back. They had feasted on my humiliation for years. Tonight, I finally served it back. The next morning, my inbox was full. Texts from extended family, social media tags, news alerts. Someone at the restaurant had filmed the entire confrontation. It was already going viral under the hashtag number daughter-owned dinner. The clip of my parents being shown to the patio, standing in front of dog bowls labeled with their names, had struck a nerve. Strangers applauded me. People wrote paragraphs about daughters who are always overlooked. Some even shared their own family trauma, echoing mine, how they too were called useless, poor, or a disappointment by the people who should have protected them most. But none of that compared to the call I got that afternoon. "Hello, is this Miss Kingston?" a woman asked. I'm calling from the Heritage Foundation for Women's Entrepreneurship. We saw the footage. We'd like to honor you at our next awards gala, not just for your business success, but for the resilience you showed in the face of public family humiliation." I stared at the phone. Not long ago, I couldn't get invited to a neighborhood picnic. Now I was being offered a keynote speaker slot, televised. I said yes. The night of the gala came quickly. I wore a sleek black dress, hair swept up in a way my mother once told me was too severe for my face. But that night, it framed my cheekbones like armor. When they introduced me, the crowd rose. Not because I was famous, but because they saw themselves in me. They'd all had people who doubted them, erased them, degraded them behind elegant smiles. My speech wasn't about revenge. It was about reclamation. "I didn't serve dinner in dog bowls to be cruel," I told the audience. "I did it to finally be heard. Some people need shock to understand silence." Applause thundered. That same week, something else happened. My parents showed up at my office unannounced. The receptionist knocked gently. "There's an older couple here. They say they're your family." My jaw clenched, but I said, "Send them in." My father walked in first. His posture had shrunk since that night. My mother followed, lips pressed so tight they were colorless. She held a small tin box, the one they kept their family memories in. "We brought photos," she said awkwardly. "You were always in them, you know, even when we said cruel things." "I don't want pictures," I replied. "I wanted you to stand up for me when I was thrown out of that dinner. I wanted someone to say, 'That's my daughter. She built herself from scratch.' But all you did was nod while I was humiliated." My dad looked at me, his voice strained. "I didn't know how to handle the fact that you outgrew us." "You didn't even try?" I said softly. "And that's what hurts." They sat in silence. Then my mother opened the tin. Inside was a letter, handwritten, stained slightly with tears. It was addressed to me. "I wrote this after the dinner," she said. "It took seeing our names on dog bowls to realize how badly we failed you." I didn't open it. Not yet. They left quietly. No demands. No entitlement. Later that night, I stood in the penthouse of the hotel I now partially owned, a chain I'd quietly invested in. I finally opened her letter. Inside were 3 words that felt foreign on her handwriting. "We were wrong." For the first time in years, I cried. Not because I wanted their forgiveness, but because I had finally stopped needing it. The final twist came weeks later. I received a call from a real estate attorney handling an estate sale. "Your parents transferred their house to your name," he said. "They said it belongs to the only one who ever really built a home." I didn't move in. Instead, I donated it to a women's shelter, a place where daughters like me, exiled and humiliated, could have a fresh start. The story didn't end with revenge. It ended with release. Because I didn't just reclaim my seat at the table. I built the table, owned the building, and decided who'd get to stay. And this time, no one could kick me out. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you